furniture friends, welcome to my channel Forever Spring Furniture and welcome to another video. Yes, this all here is my new project. It is a chippendale style buffet and I'm super excited. I was looking quite for a long time for a cupboard like this. I really like the chippendale style with the curved legs and all the ornaments on the surfaces and I hope you enjoy the project as well. Of course, you will only see the short version of it, so days of work broken down into a few minutes, as always. But now enough talking, enjoy the video, see you later. Here you see the piece in its entirety. So to me it's absolutely gorgeous and I want to keep it in my own home. But the color just doesn't go with the style we have, so I want to make it over and actually repurpose it. So not to use it as a buffet, but as a wardrobe. Let's see if my plan works out. If not, and if I don't like it, I'm sure I will find another spot where it fits in. The first step was to thoroughly dust it and wipe it down, and then I started the sanding process. I did not intend to remove all of the old varnish, but it was so dried out and old that it came off completely, almost completely, when I went over with a 180 grit sanding paper. So I didn't want it to sand down to the bare wood, but that's basically where I ended up. I hand sanded all the curved areas and used the mouse sander for the more narrow spots. The sides of the drawers had a lot of scratches and were rather worn, so these ones I actually sanded down to the bare wood. I will later wax it to give it some protection and then it looks all nice and clean again when you open the drawers. And then it was time for the cleaning process. I actually spent a lot of time cleaning this piece and to get into all the crevices, all the details, and to remove all the dust from the sanding process and the old grime. One or two minor repairs were necessary, like you can see here. This ornament is a bit loose and needed to be glued down again. Since I removed most of the old varnish by sanding it down, I had to apply a blocking primer because this wood definitely is a bleeder and I want to make sure that I have no bleed through later when I use the paint. The roller is always my choice of tool when it comes to applying the blocking primer, but of course I don't get into all the corners and the details of the ornaments, and there I had to switch to an artist brush. And here in this little sequence you can see what I mean. This definitely is a bleeder. Do you see the yellowish streaks? That's where I had the bleed through, so I applied a second layer of blocking primer in the hope that that will protect the paint that comes on now. For this project I chose two shades of purple. One is called Mauve, that's the slightly darker one, and one is called Mabea, which is a very, very light one. My idea was to have the light color as the base color and to highlight the ornaments using the darker shade of purple and then add some silver gilding wax to highlight them even more. It was a bit of a trial and error process, so I started off by using the darker shade, the mauve, and paint the ornaments first. And then I used the lighter color and tried to work my way around. which worked fine in the areas where I have the straight parts of the ornaments, but in the curved areas I messed it up completely. So I painted over the already mauve colored ornaments with the light color, which meant I had to come back in with the darker shade and color the ornaments again. In the end, I reversed the whole process and just painted everything in the light shade in Marbella first, and then did the ornaments with the darker shade. Two coats of paint were necessary for full coverage, and in between coats I gave it a light sand to knock down all the little bumps and unevennesses. Here comes the second coat of paint on one of the side panels. The paint is on now, but I think the contrast between the dark and the light shade of purple is a bit too harsh for what I imagined, and that's why I did a tiny bit of dry brushing. So I took the light shade of purple and dry brushed over the ornaments to lighten up the darker shade and reduce the contrast. I repeated the process in all the places where I deemed it necessary. Well, here it's not dry brushing anymore. I loaded the brush with quite a bit of paint, but I actually wanted to achieve a look so that I have the darker color only in the crevices and the lighter color on the high points. To add a bit of a highlight, I used silver metallic paste on the ornaments. The middle door of the cupboard is a glass door, and that is why I added some more interest to the back panel and used the stencil and stenciled this pattern on. When using a roller for the stenciling process, you want to load the roll with only a tiny amount of paint in order not to press or to push the color under your stencil, but it is a fairly quick process which works quite well. Now, high time to tend to the hardware. This is directly after I placed the hardware into a 50-50 mix of vinegar and water, and this is how it looks like after it had the chance to soak for a few hours. An old toothbrush and a bit of scrubby soap will then do the trick and bring back the old sheen. In the next step, I applied 2 layers of silver spray paint, giving each layer the time to fully dry. Followed by a layer of black metal spray paint, which I dabbed away directly after I sprayed it on. Now the hardware has this very pretty antique look. And now for the final step, I applied 2 layers of a PU enhanced clear coat, this time in matte. Now let's reassemble the piece. Hello again, it's the end of the video. I can tell you this sequence now was recorded 2 months after I did the introduction. It just took me ages to finish the piece. Time was scarce, I barely had time to work on it, and now I'm super glad that I managed to finish it, and I at least think I'm done. So I'm not quite sure yet if I should add a bit more detail using black furniture wax up here in the corners, for example, or around the ornaments to give it a bit of aging, a bit more depth and character. But I think I will wait until the piece is assembled in its final position, get an overall impression of how it looks like, and then decide if some more detail is missing or not. But for the moment it's done. I hope you as well enjoyed the project and the video. Please leave me a comment and subscribe. There will be more videos coming in future. And that's it for now. See you soon. Bye bye and bis bald.